Mandatory trigger warning for eating disorders and self-harm and mental illness in general. Just be aware that I am going to discuss these things, so watch with discretion or don't watch at all if you think it's going to upset you. Hi friends, it is Sam and today I am going to give you a little update on my eating disorder recovery. So it's been 3 months since I started my recovery journey. Don't like that word, but we're going to use it. And I've been documenting my journey in the hopes that I can share my experience with initial recovery symptoms and experiences and bring comfort to those who are considering choosing recovery. The initial symptoms may not bring you comfort, but 3 months is not very long, and already I'm starting to feel the benefits of increasing my food intake. So if you've come to this video having had enough of the voice in your head telling you that you're fat and fat is bad, which it's not, and that you should starve yourself because you don't deserve food and enjoyment, please stick around because I'm gonna try and convince you that recovery is the way to go. Of course, I'm not a doctor, so take everything I say with a pinch of salt. This is my personal experience. I don't know anyone else's experience. I haven't really seen any videos like this, to be honest. I am subscribed to a couple of eating disorder survivors / people in recovery, but I've never seen anything about the initial experience. So I hope this helps. I hope it's educational, informational. I hope you get something out of it. Let's dive in. So the first couple of weeks, I would say, are the worst. For recovery, I increased my diet a little bit. I added 2 snacks to my meal plan, which isn't a huge increase, but is something you have to do slowly or your body will just malfunction with the confusion of it all. But even though I only increased my food intake a little bit, my body did notice and it did punish me. I felt prematurely full quite a lot of the time and didn't want to finish my food, but I did finish my food because I'm a good girl. My bloat was really painful. Even in the throes of my eating disorder, I did bloat and I looked a bit pregnant, but it was never painful. And I felt sick quite a lot of the time. I don't know whether these things were mental or physical or a bit of both, because obviously my eating disorder knew what I was doing. And it may have been trying to sabotage me and tell me that eating was bad. So I kind of kept that in mind. Even when I was miserable and in pain, I kept in mind that it was temporary and it would pass, and it has for the most part. I also got a lot of headaches and I was very tired. Headaches and food have always been sort of an issue for me. I usually get headaches when I haven't eaten enough. In terms of my eating disorder, I got headaches when I only had 1 meal and nothing else, because by that point my body was used to not eating enough, and when I didn't eat enough, that was when I'd get my headaches. But pre-ED, I'd get a headache if I skipped a meal or had small meals. So yeah, that was very confusing when I was eating more but I was getting headaches. But again, I think that was stress and my eating disorder trying to sabotage me. I was also very tired and I'd have early nights, but this little bit of extra food gave me a little bit of extra energy, so I did find it a bit harder to sleep, and that fed the fatigue a bit. So it was kind of a cycle of being tired and not being able to sleep. I also got a lot of chest pain, which wasn't new to me because before I started recovery, I was getting a lot of chest pain anyway, and it would just go away. I kind of wrote it off as anxiety, took some deep breaths, and it would go away. I also heavily practiced denial in the first couple of weeks, and I dissociated from my situation and pretended like I was gonna go back into my eating disorder and punish myself for the extra yogurt I was gonna have in the morning. I tallied up all these extra calories I was having, and I was like, fine, you can punish yourself later on. That's okay. We'll get back down to very underweight and unwell. It will be fine. Which wasn't exactly healthy, but it got me through the first couple of weeks. It kept me eating that yogurt in the morning, and at that time, denial was sort of the way to go for me. Of course, because I'd only increased my food consumption a little bit at the time, I was still restricting, which is kind of a double-edged sword because you don't want to restrict is what you're trying to heal from, but at the same time you do want to restrict because you don't want your body to shut down out of confusion. I was also keeping track of my food, writing it down, ticking boxes, and I feel like that was really unhealthy for me as well. Although it was done with good intentions and the intention to recover, I do think it was very bad to be keeping track so heavily on my food. So I've stopped doing that now, and I feel like that has made a positive impact on me. Another thing I struggled with in the first few weeks was lack of trust from some of my loved ones. I was often asked what I was eating and watched while I was eating and asked if I was eating normally now, and it got on my nerves. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, not only have I publicly announced that I want to recover from my eating disorder, I am also a grown woman, and I have to do this myself. There's no way that other people can force me or pressure me to eat, because anyone with an eating disorder will tell you that the pressure put on them to eat often sends them the other way and they eat less. So the trust had not yet been established, and that was quite triggering for me. Despite all these struggles, weeks 3 to 4 arrived and I was still in recovery. However, things still sucked a bit. I can't lie. I'm not gonna tell you that recovery is easy and fun and you'll be better with the snap of your fingers, because it's not the case. This is a long-term illness, and I still have it, I still struggle with it, I'm still going to struggle with it, but it gets better. In weeks 3 to 4, however, the depression kicked it up a notch. I was crying so much, loudly and intensely, and I was really noticing negativity. People pointing out that perhaps I've eaten too much, or perhaps I should go on a diet after Christmas, or oh, this is really naughty, I shouldn't be eating this. And it just blew my mind that they knew I have an eating disorder, and they so flippantly threw their diets and their food negativity in my face. It's like, I'm trying to uncondition myself from this BS and you're throwing it in my face. And perhaps they weren't throwing it in my face. Perhaps they were just being normal and acting how they've always acted. But I was super sensitive to it, and it really brought me down. Also, the chest pain continued, but again, I wrote it off as anxiety. I just lived with it, laid down for bed at night, experienced it for a couple of minutes, fell asleep, it was gone by morning. It was, however, very confusing to me during these couple of weeks how dizzy I felt. I thought by this time, now that my food intake had increased a little bit, the dizziness would kind of fade, but didn't fade. It intensified, and that upset me greatly because I kind of wanted to feel a bit more solid and human, and it wasn't happening, and I was miserable and in my head gaining weight very rapidly, even though I wasn't gaining weight rapidly at all. And I wasn't seeing any positive effects from cheese and recovery. And some days I would feel happy and better, and I then came to realise that it was because I'd had a slip and relapsed a little bit. And then that brought me down even more. So it was another kind of endless cycle. Also, I was super tired. The tiredness just kept building, and I just wanted to be asleep all the time. But finally, a couple of months in, I was feeling less physical symptoms. I was starting to feel physically better. Wonderful. However, my mental state plummeted. I was miserable. I was so sensitive to anything and everything. I was crying. I didn't feel good enough. I didn't feel like I'd ever be happy again. There were thoughts of hurting myself, and the lack of starvation days and not punishing myself were really stacking up and starting to take a toll. I was like, I'm gonna have to put so much work in to punish myself because of the amount of days I've eaten that bloody yogurt in the morning. So at the end of November, I went on antidepressants. And I'm not going to go too much into that because I want to make a separate video on antidepressants, but that has helped me greatly. I did have some physical symptoms for the first couple of days, but since then, Sam's been happy as Larry. So, that's brill. Also, I started going to a peer group in a church not far from where I live, and I was honestly quite scared that I'd get there and be the fattest girl in the room, and there was so much wrong with that mindset. A, fat not bad, fat fine, fat wonderful. B, you don't have to be underweight to have an eating disorder. BMI is BS. Okay? Okay. I'm not going to talk about the weights of the other people in the group, and I'm not going to talk about the other people in the group. It was confidential. Their secrets are safe with me. I'm going to take them to the grave, but I really had nothing to worry about. Peer group changed my perspective completely. It changed my life. I was in a room with like 8 to 10 other people that completely understood what I was going through. They gave me amazing advice. I gave them advice, and I felt supported by my peers, and I'm excited to go again. And it was actually peer group that convinced me to go on antidepressants, so best thing ever. Which brings us to recently. So a couple of weeks ago, my chest pain intensified. I woke up at 3 in the morning with chest pain, and I was like, it's cool, Sam, let's do the breathing exercises. It's just anxiety. It's chill. Not chill. It lasted 2 hours, so I was sat up in bed because lying down really hurt. Sat up in bed, watching YouTube, and then I kind of fell asleep, like half sat up, half lying down, like you do when you've got a cold and you can't really breathe. And then I woke up early in the morning and it hurt whether I was laid down or sat up. And I was like, right, this is it. This is the end of my life. I love you, family and friends. Farewell. So at 8 a.m. I rang the doctor because that's the emergency slot between 8 and half 8. And I was like, hey, it me. I got chest pains. And the woman on the phone was like, yeah, cool, ring at half 8. Apparently that's not an emergency. hangs up and I'm like, okay. So I ring at 8:30, they get a doctor to ring me back and I explain my situation. I'm like, got chest pain, currently hurts to breathe, what's up? And she was like, oh, call 999. They'll send a paramedic. And I was like, no, just listen to me and prescribe me with something so this can go away. She was like, nah, call 999. And I was like, that seems a bit extreme. So I rang my boss and I was like, dude, can't come in today, in pain. And he was like, cool, feel better. And come lunchtime, I didn't feel any better. So Mel and I went to A&E and we spent a few hours in the hospital. I had a heart trace and my blood pressure taken and lots of questions asked me. And turns out it's acid reflux, meaning my body was very confused that I'd increased my food intake. And for anyone who hasn't suffered acid reflux before, it doesn't sound as bad as it feels. It's very painful. But I was given stomach coaters, I was sent on my merry way. I was very irritated that the doctor didn't listen to me and just prescribe me with these things without me having to go to the hospital for a couple of hours. But that has since cleared up, which is grand. With that, my physical symptoms and my mental symptoms have settled down a little bit for now. I do still struggle with disordered thoughts and I deny myself food, and this is a process, but I'm getting better. I'm still on the waiting list for CBT, and on my good days I keep considering ringing them up and being like, hey, I'm cured, bye, don't need CBT. But then I kind of have to take a step back and be like, Sam, no, I always do this, I always decide I'm better and that I don't need help, and then things get worse. So still on the waiting list for CBT, still gonna go, want to discuss stuff with a therapist, get the experience, get the benefits. So that will hopefully happen in the next couple of weeks. She said it'd be a 3-ish month wait, and I went at the beginning of November. So I hope that's soon. I'll let you know. Also, I've been having a lot of cravings and massive temptations to binge, which is confusing and upsetting, and there are days when I want to eat us at house and home. Like, there's so much chocolate in the house because of Christmas and I just want it all. But despite the belief that my eating disorder voice had gone away at the beginning of my recovery, she hasn't. She's just quieter and she's like, no Sam, no chocky for you. But then my brain's like, but I want the chocky. And there's like big dialogue and big shout out to my sister for being like, listen to the body positive gurus, eat what you want, when you're hungry, and feel happy. So I eat the chocolate occasionally, and that's a massive step. Also, I have been incorporating fear foods into my meal plan. I've eaten crisps for the first time in so long. Excuse me, I've had Pringles. Oh my god, Pringles. Food's amazing. I love food, and I can't wait until I don't have any hang-ups about food, because I am gonna kick anorexia's ass. So that's where I'm currently at. The current symptoms slash things are as follows. The bad ones consist of overheating. I'm sweaty a lot. I'm boiling all the time. Like, oh my god, so hot. I can't cool down. It's just like, get a fan on, girl. Girl needs to go outside into the cold January air and just cool the hell down. 2, is the confusion with the wanting to binge but also wanting to starve myself. Like, shut up, brain. And the third bad thing is that my skin is quite terrible. I don't know if you can tell because the girl's got makeup on, but it's not good. It's the worst it's been in years. But I don't know whether that's the antidepressants or the chocolate. But I don't care. I'm getting better. I'm gonna continue to take antidepressants because Jesus, on a bike, they're incredible. And I'm gonna continue to eat chocolate until we've run out of chocolate, and then maybe buy some more chocolate if I want the chocolate. But the wonderful, 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 wonderful effects of eating disorder recovery are as follows. My nose has stopped running so much. I don't know if I've ever mentioned this, but my nose used to be running 24/7. All the time. Constant sniffing, constant wiping, constant blowing, and it ceased. Thank you, body. I am grateful, glad about it. My hair has stopped falling out in the shower. Just before recovery, for like a few months, I'd been losing clumps of hair in the shower, and it was sad because I love my hair. And that stopped, and I'm so happy. My hair's thicker, my hair's healthy, and it's not coming out of my head. It's staying there where it belongs, and that is a hashtag blessing. And so much less of my brain power is taken up by food. Okay, a lot of it's still taken up by food, but that's my life. I've always been thinking about food, whether it be like, damn, I want pizza, or damn, I should starve myself. But I'm not constantly thinking about what I'm gonna have for lunch and not have for breakfast because I didn't do breakfast, and what I'm gonna have for dinner, and whether or not I'm having bread and potato in the same day. Like, oh, it's so much quieter in here. So yeah, it's a roller coaster. Eating disorder recovery is not linear, it's not easy, it's often not fun, but sometimes you have a chip butty and it's phenomenal, and you don't mind, and you don't hate yourself. So that blows my mind, and I would 110% recommend trying to recover from your eating disorder. Please love you. I love you. I'm going to leave some sources in the description, and yeah, that's pretty much all I had to say today. I will continue to keep notes on my recovery because I think it could help, and I think it's quite interesting, and hopefully I can help someone who's like I was in early October, and hopefully people can relate to this. And if you're in recovery and you've experienced other symptoms or the same symptoms, be sure to comment below. Your comment could help someone, and it could further inform people on what initial recovery is like. So yeah, I hope this helped. I hope you take away all the positive juju from it. I hope you have a lovely day. I hope you have a wonderful week. I hope to see you very soon. But until then, stay strong, stay beautiful, eat chocolate, and I'll see you next time. Bye.